Hello and welcome to the Comics Pals review of Black Adam. So, 15 years in the making for this Dwayne The Rock Johnson film about a character that I think 15 years ago the majority of people did not know, and now he's a household name, maybe. Kale and Tyler are joining myself, Sean, to talk about this movie, and we're gonna
What's up,
start
hot
it
dog?
we're gonna start it the way that we always do, which is with the Rotten Tomatoes game. This is where the other two don't know the score. I do, and they have to guess with Price is Right rules. So closest without going over what the audience score is and what the critic score is for Black Adam. So just so you know, this is based on over 1,000 verified ratings for the audience score and over 200 reviews.
For the critic score, right?
Critics reviews, yeah.
Okay. I can go first.
Go ahead.
I think for critics, it's almost right down the middle. I feel like it might skew more towards I didn't like it, so I'm going to say, without going over, 45.
Okay.
For audience, the Comics Pals Reddit account is following the DC Comics subreddit. And the amount of cope that is happening on that subreddit, it's like, oh, can you believe these reviews on this movie? This is a pure hit piece, hit job. I'm like, fuck. Based on that, I'm guessing the audience score is highly inflated through their like brigading or something. So I'm gonna guess audience 87.
You just said two words there that I don't think I've ever heard in that context in my brigading and
It's a thing people do.
cope.
Yeah. I guess
Uh,
I'm on the internet a little too much compared to Cal.
I've tried to actively avoid it at this point. Um, man, I'm in screenwriting school now, and I'm gonna hope that anyone worth their salt will hate this movie. So I'm gonna say critics. I'm gonna say critics are 55,
Oh, higher
and I'm
than
gonna
me.
say audiences are man. Y'all audiences are dumb. I'm gonna say 83.
I always see in comments of stuff being like, "Don't trust the critics' scores; just trust the audience scores." No, there are campaigns for the audience scores. They're much less reliable.
Well, you both lost, but Tyler lost less. So
Both went over.
the
Okay.
the critic score is actually 41%.
That was close.
Whoa.
Yeah, so a little high, but then the audience score is 89%. So Tyler, I think you said 85. So
It's 87. Yeah.
87, okay. Yeah.
Well, sorry, what was the audience score?
89.
Oh wow,
89%. Yeah.
Okay.
man, y'all dumb. Uh, do you know what the Man of Steel um reviews are? I'm just wondering
Whoa.
if the hierarchy of the DCU has actually changed.
Well, luckily for us, I can get that. Actually, Man of Steel fared better with critics at 56%, but worse with audiences at 75%.
Interesting.
Obviously, Man of Steel has had a lot more time to settle in,
Yeah.
but yeah. I can't imagine that the audience score that Black Adam currently has will stay that way. I just can't see it.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think I've seen those fans. They scare me
Fair enough.
so much so
Uh,
that I might have a glowing review for this movie just out of pure fear.
Well, before we get into the review, we're gonna talk from stem to stern. We're gonna dissect this movie. Before we do that, I do want to let you guys know what we are, who we are, what we do. The Comics Pals are a podcast, a group of friends who do a show, two shows every single week. The main show is every single Saturday live on Twitch at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. That's where we talk about the movies, the comics, the inner workings of the comics and film industry on the comic book film side of things, all that good stuff. Come hang out with us for that. And then 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays for Pals Pools. That's where we review comics. So, for example, when Black Adam #1 came out a couple of months ago, we reviewed that. So, if you like comics and want to hear our takes on them, yeah, check out more of what we do. So let's get into this. Black Adam, of course, starring The Rock. Aldous Hodge playing Carter Hall, aka Hawkman. Noah Centineo playing Atom Smasher. Sarah Shahi playing
Cyclone?
yes, no, not Cyclone.
No.
Adriana Tomaz. That's
yes, yes.
the mother of the kid, the rebel woman. And many, many more people. Pierce Brosnan, of course, is Dr. Fate. Lots of people.
Acting his Pierce Brosnan off.
There you go. You got it in.
Yeah.
Directed by Joan Call It Sarah. I think that's how you say their name. Maybe, maybe not. We're not going to do spoiler free. I just do it.
I don't know how you do that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen it and you don't care about spoilers, hang around. If you've seen it, obviously hang around. If you haven't seen it and you care about spoilers, know that we're going to spoil the entire thing. So, Black Adam is definitely an origin story movie. It is very much showing us how Teth Adam became Black Adam, how he returns to modern times from 5,000 years ago, and what his role might be, and kind of wrestles with what his role ought to be in the DCFU. I very much feel like this movie is almost a microcosm or a meta commentary on the reality of it. Like, Black Adam and The Rock, no business in the DCFU in this way. No business being presented in the DCFU as a potential hero, as a sometimes hero, as an anti-hero. And The Rock himself almost feels out of place. Whereas everything else, to me, worked pretty well. And the movie is often wrestling with what is Black Adam's place in this world. I have a hot take. My hot take is that I think this movie, there's a great movie in this. I think that somewhere in here is the potential for something that's very good. Maybe great is too strong,
Sure.
but very good. I was entertained a lot of the time throughout this movie. I think the action is quite good. I think that the fight scenes look great. I think from an action standpoint and a character design standpoint, one of the best comic book movies ever.
I don't say that. Someone's gonna clip that one piece out and say,
"Go ahead." Yeah. If more people get to hear us, great.
Somebody being me.
Do it. Yeah, please. I think that Hawkman looked phenomenal. Dr. Fate stole the show. Atom Smasher was great. All the JSA characters I thought were awesome. I kind of felt like Cyclone got underserved. Well, so did Atom Smasher, but he got more than she did. And there's a moment at which I thought the movie was over, like when they put Teth Adam in the holding cell. I thought the movie was ending.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, hey, you know what? I think I kind of like this. This was decent. This was nice. And it was different. I was like, wow, the last fight was sort of like with Black Adam. Like it went down how I thought it would. He's the villain, but not. Like the movie's kind of gray. And I thought I appreciated that. All of that and all the intrigue and interest that I had got sucked right out of me when they brought him back to fight that random ass villain,
Sabak.
Sabak.
That video game character.
Yeah. He felt
That-
like a Mortal Kombat villain.
Yeah, that Mortal Kombat touchscreen.
Yeah.
Oh, the Spawn character, actually.
Could have been. And it's like Sabak is a real
Mhm.
DC character, not this origin, certainly. Not even an antagonist for Black Adam. But I bet you can guess who he is an antagonist for.
Dr. Fate.
Come on. No. Who's Black Adam an antagonist for?
Oh, it's a Shazam villain.
It's
Captain Marvel. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Captain Marvel villain.
I didn't know there'd be a quiz.
Because that whole inversion of it being like the demonic forces making a champion.
Yeah.
I can see that being a good foil for the actual hero, Captain Marvel. Yeah.
All right.
Or Shazam.
So that's my baseline take. And what are yours? And then we can dive into the particulars.
So I'll go first because I feel like Kels is going to differ from ours. I'm kind of with you on this, Sean. I think there is. I came out of this going like, did I see the underside of a movie? Like if a movie is like a playing card, in the front of the playing card, like the face of it was a Justice Society movie. Like I felt like I saw the back of that instead of the front. Like there's this whole like slight romance between Atom Smasher and Cyclone that never gets resolved. But I felt like it did get resolved in the movie that I didn't see. You know what I mean? That good movie that's there. There's like even like the friendship between Hawkman and Dr. Fate. It's talked about in ways where like I made me invested in it, but we never really get any clear distinction on what that relationship is, what that friendship, how far does it go back? They hint at a lot of stuff for a movie that doesn't exist. And I feel like that movie was good. Like the Justice Society stuff, I really enjoyed. Hawkman looked cooler than Hawkman has ever looked. Even in the comics.
Wow.
Aldous Hodge is his name, right?
Yeah.
I thought he played Hawkman well because he played him as a dick. And Hawkman at his core is a dick. He's fed up. He's died and been reborn too many times to care about anyone. He's an asshole. Dr. Fate, kind of aloof but caring. Loved it. I thought Noah Centineo was great as like he was like the POV character for a different movie. Like again, like you don't really get that here. He's there, even Cyclone being, like, oh, here's our female character, but she's the real brains of it, but they don't show it. They tell us, they don't show it. I felt like that movie was good. Instead, I watched the back end of a card that has nothing on it, that doesn't matter. It just has the design of whatever the deck is. It's more show than function. And that's what I feel like Black Adam is. Strangely, the biggest in I have a letterbox where I did like a quick 2-sentence review of this movie last night because I'm a 30-year-old white guy, so of course I have letterboxed. But I said that the worst part of this movie was the fact that The Rock miscast himself. The Rock, his best feature is that he's charismatic. He is a likable person, and he puts himself in a role where none of that matters, and it's antithetical to who Black Adam is. And you can see him fighting that in this movie. You can see him fighting with the fact that Black Adam's, he's not funny. He's overly serious. And there's parts where like The Rock can't help himself but do jokes. And he just doesn't gel with who the character is that we've even learned about in this movie.
I swear I feel like his eyebrow was like twitching, trying to raise.
Yeah. There's a part where he goes to look over his shoulder and I went, oh, there it is.
Yeah, and like he doesn't even do a wrestling move in this, which I thought was catastrophic, honestly. I was expecting something. Elbow
rock
drop,
bottom.
something. Instead, we see a really cool Cyclone turning Atom Smasher into like an enlargement V-trigger sort of thing. I thought that was cool. But yeah, it's weird. It's the worst part of this. The worst part of Black Adam is Black Adam. Strangely, it's weird. I gave it a good 2.5 out of 5 for me. It's like it is a middle movie in my regards. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad though. Because I honestly had more enjoyment out of watching this than I did Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's
I thought it was more
exactly
enjoyable.
exactly what I said to
Do I think
my girlfriend. Yep.
Do I think it's a better movie? No. I think Thor: Love and Thunder is a little more stylized and it was directed better. I think the
It's more
cinematography is a
cohesive.
little better. It's more cohesive, but I had more fun with this movie. Yeah, I mean that's how I felt about it.
I think ultimately that's sort of where I land too. Like a lot of the stuff you're putting together about the JSA, like I didn't necessarily compute about it being like a different movie,
Mhm.
but my take on it was like this would have been a tremendous vehicle for like the DC universe in like 2004.
Yep. Yep.
Like the Justice League or the Justice Society even being introduced in Smallville. And Aquaman getting his own spin-off show because of Smallville. Like that's what this felt like to me. And I'm like, this is fine, but it's good 15 years ago.
Mm.
There's a lot of tropes in this that are dated.
Yeah.
Like the whole young kid juxtaposed against like the Black Adam, the stoic, strong Black Adam. Like, what am I watching? Like Kazam from the '90s. Like it felt
Yeah.
like that kind
Yeah.
of '90s dynamic of a movie, which was honestly jarring.
And I there were a lot of times with The Rock that I think you're right that I was just frustrated about. Like it felt like he wanted to do more, but the character it's just not there. It's not
Yeah.
there for him. And man, I did not like this movie. Um and I think that does color the way I saw like the JSA and everything. Because for me, I would rather just see a JSA film. Like we're
I
at the
agree.
point now, like put it together.
I think that there's a way to like recenter this movie around another character and frankly, around the JSA and do almost everything the same,
Yeah,
except that you don't have like a goofy ass CG villain. You just have The Rock. You just have Black Adam. And he doesn't have to be a villain in the sense that like he is a awful human and all that stuff. I actually think the gray area that the movie plays with is really interesting. There was a
They just,
lot of go ahead.
they just chose the wrong perspective.
Yeah.
I agree. Yep.
It doesn't work when you have to center the movie or center the movie around the character who you are questioning because we're too close to him. He has to save people to be likable because The Rock has to play a likable character.
Yep.
So when that same dude is then also telling, like, he saves the character Adriana. I'm gonna call her Isis. He saves Isis. That's a part of her name. So I'm just gonna use
don't
that.
call her
'cause
Isis.
oh my god, it's easier for me to remember. But it's in her name.
Is that the mother?
The mother,
Yes, her character name is Adriana Tomaz Isis, I think. Yeah.
maybe pick Tomas out of that name if you're gonna shorten it.
Adriana's.
Sure.
Like it could be
Okay,
easy enough.
fine. Whatever.
Just saying, it's a little
don't
problematic
wanna-
to call the
I
Middle
don't
Eastern
know.
person ISIS.
You guys are
Well,
reading way more into it. But anyway,
Black Adam saved ISIS in this movie.
so he saves her early on by blasting a rock that's going to kill her. Later on, he says, something to the effect of like, I only care about your son, or I'm not here to save you, or something along those. I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero. He says that 50 million times. I'm not a hero.
Yep.
And it's like, well, you're saving people. Okay. But hey, you don't have to be a hero to save people. Maybe that's the message. I think that there was meat there. I really do. How am I supposed to get that when one of your laugh moments is the main character? It's a joke.
You cut out there for a second, Sean. What did you say?
What was the joke? Yeah.
Oh, when the main character of the movie, Black Adam, is just murdering people.
Oh,
And that's a joke.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
the moment where he like throws the dudes and he comes back and Dr. Fate's like, oh, I thought you weren't going to kill anybody anymore. And he's like, oh, I'm not. And Carter Hall has to save them. And then there's the other joke when he throws the guy and the guy dies. And he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, he didn't make it.
Yeah. And the thing too, like, if you put the center of the movie on the JSA, like the Adriana and her son, like they have a perspective of like, you know, Kondak has been invaded our whole lives and you have done absolutely nothing. You don't care about the world. Like, that's interesting. Make the JSA grapple with that.
And also, like, that is interesting, but they spend too much time on this family to the point where, like, I was just annoyed by the time I was seeing them towards the end. I'm like, you overstayed your welcome. I'm like, that kid, hated that kid. I thought he was annoying as hell. I thought his line delivery was weird. Was not a fan of that kid. As soon as the opening preamble, I guess, prologue happens where he's narrating it, I'm like, why is this kid narrating this prologue at, you know, two times speed? But but simultaneously, this is the longest prologue I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And they spent so much time with Adriana that when Dr. Fate dies, spoiler, I was waiting for her to get his helmet. I was like, okay, well, surely they're setting her up for something.
I thought the kid was going to get it, and that would be like our young Doctor Strange or Dr. Fate that we get in the comics, you know.
By the way, it's not that her name is Isis. She plays both the mother of she plays two characters.
Oh,
she's the wife of Teth Adam in the flashbacks and the mother of
Amon,
kid protagonist.
Sean,
Amon.
Did you know? Did you notice when Amon Teth or Amon Adam or whatever? I forget the way the name works.
Amon's the kid in the present.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know when Black Adam's son was Black Adam.
Yeah.
Did you recognize who the actor was for that?
No.
It's the guy who plays Young Rock in Young Rock.
Get out of here! Wow.
Yeah. Which I'm like, man, that guy's set for life now. He just plays the younger version of The Rock going forward. So
that's funny. Wow. I mean, like, there's to me, everything on the surface, everything that they put out at the base is fine. Like, it's all like fine to good. The JSA, all awesome. I think that what they're given to do, that's a different matter. But the premise of them being here and all that, I thought that was great. And there's a really interesting story about the JSA working with Amanda Waller, not to free Kondak, but to stop Black Adam. Amanda Waller is borderline a villain. Amanda Waller is a person who is allowed to do criminal things legally. And she essentially sends the JSA to Kondak to stop Black Adam. And when they get there, they see that Intergang, which is like, you know, a generic group of bad guys from the DC universe.
Are they actually characters?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, they have taken over Kondak. But the JSA doesn't care. And the movie flirts with that question. But when I'm not sure if it's the kid or if it's the mom, Adriana, when one of them asks or makes that point to Carter Hall, Hawkman, saying like, "Hey, why aren't you here to help us?" He doesn't say anything. Like, that's not addressed.
That's not for me. No, I'm not gonna.
He tackles that in the other movie we don't see that doesn't exist. Like,
but it's like but that helps to tell the story you're trying to tell. If this is what I was thinking the whole time, you know, in evaluating, like, how could this have been more interesting? Well, Black Adam is a character that they clearly cannot make a full villain. So they have to make him an antihero. Okay, so evaluate why superheroes don't stop third world countries from being invaded or help them grow, help them evolve. Why do, you guys referenced ISIS, a terrorist organization. Why does it still exist in the DCU when Superman can stop that? We saw that sort of kind of addressed in Man of Steel and Batman Superman, but once again, not far enough. This movie had the opportunity to do that in a really interesting way, and it doesn't choose to. And I don't get it. In the comics, Dr. Fate is a weirdo. Doctor, when he puts the helmet on, he's possessed. The movie even says that. But when Pierce Brosnan is playing the character, they don't want to do it. So when he has the helmet on and when he has the helmet off, same guy.
Actually, I feel like he's more normal with the helmet on than off. Like
he takes it off at will, just to chat.
You got to show those good Pierce Brosnan looks, Mamma Mia, he was, Silver Fox over there.
Carter Hall. Again, there's a character I don't have a ton of familiarity with. What I know about him is that he's angry.
Yep.
I know about him that he's angry. I know about him that he's always looking for a fight. He's a violent person. I just described to you a weirdo who's possessed by a helmet and a guy who wants any fight. These are two characters that I think are fantastic for exploring the different kinds of people who have powers and what they choose to do with them and how they feel about it, juxtaposed with Black Adam. But the movie doesn't care. I don't get why. That's perfect.
And then throw in your newbie superhero with Atom Smasher in that as well. Like, again, another person who might have different ideals, compared to the veteran who apparently have been doing superhero stuff since before Wonder Woman, possibly, they kind of hint towards that.
And Henry Winkler as the Golden Age Adam. Are you absolutely kidding me?
Did you pop for that?
I couldn't have casted that better in my wildest dreams.
That was cool.
There's a JSA movie where he has more to do. That there's the Snyder cut that happened. Now there's the Ayer cut. I want the JSA cut of this movie. And I'm gonna start saying, release the JSA cut, # release the JSA cut. I'm going to start that here. And I'm going to get the ball rolling. I'm going to have constant hashtag videos that I'm going to post on our channel without your permission. And,
you have my permission. Do you think it's hard to look at this. For me, it's hard to look at this film and go, the filmmakers weren't, they're interested in the JSA. I think, to me, they just needed a team that in the comics was probably relatively adjacent to Black Adam. And so they needed somebody to tackle them. And the Justice League was off the table. Do you, is this the movie we got because it's a rock vehicle?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. But also, I think that the script is bad. I think the script is really, really bad. And I can't believe this is what they went with. When you look at even other DC movies that have excellent scripts, I think the Batman script is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I think that the Suicide Squad script, which I don't even really like that movie that much, I think the script is great. The dialogue feels right. 50 times in this movie, you're not a hero. What is a hero? I'm not a hero. You kill people. Yeah, heroes don't kill. Don't you know? It's just mind-boggling how this didn't get another pass.
Yep. It feels like a movie that was made for the short-form media attention span. It's we'll just keep repeating the same stuff. They won't recognize that we said that 5 minutes ago.
Oh. Yeah, that's another thing I felt coming out of this. Is just this massive fear that people have of AI making art. That's what this felt like to me. like screenwriters are worried they're going to be put out of business because the AI is going to start writing scripts. That's what this felt like to me. You've got your Atom Smasher, who's your Tom Holland character. The Rock was was a topic and can't get out of the public eye. Like it just
I actually agree, Kale, with what you said earlier about this feeling like a movie from circa 2004, in the sense that, like, the ways in which it feels like a modern superhero movie, it clearly is comfortable with the fact that its characters are from comics because they look right.
Yeah.
They're not like, oh, Dr. Fate's going to all of a sudden be in all black. Don't know why. Like, they look phenomenal. Arguably better than the comics, like Tyler mentioned.
I'd even argue, like, even compared to like some of the MCU character designs.
I think that, I think this was one of the best looking superhero movies of all time. I stand by that. I think that the character designs are perfect. Black Adam looked great. Like, forget who was wearing the costume.
Sure.
That when he had that when he first appears and he has that hood over him and he's oh my God, that was sick.
Although there's a part of me that's like, couldn't The Rock do the hair, like the Black Adam hair, like the big widow's peaks sort of thing? Like, oh, that's like such a Black Adam. I wish that was the thing.
He literally could, but would he? Of course not, because he's The Rock. And that's the problem when you lock yourself in to someone like this who's not a traditional actor. He's not thinking, I'm going to dive into this role and do whatever it is. He's thinking, I'm going to play this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's thinking,
I
how
want
do
to be a
in-
superhero.
Yeah. Or like, how do I tie in this to my energy drink? Like, he's thinking from a marketing standpoint and his brand, I feel.
I don't think he knows how to act in the traditional acting sense. He learned how to act from wrestling. He wasn't an actor before. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe he was in Star Trek.
What do you mean?
He was in Kel, was it Voyager that he was in?
He was,
or was it Enterprise?
He was in
it was in one
Alien.
of the two. He just plays like an alien, he plays a wrestler,
But after his wrestling career had started, right?
No, he plays the same role. It's a meme at this point that he doesn't act. He is just The Rock,
No, I get that, Tyler. I'm saying the Star Trek role was after he was a wrestler.
No, it was during.
Yeah. He was already a wrestler.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes. The point I'm trying to make is that he didn't come from acting school. You know what I'm saying? Like, he learned to act from wrestling. And what is wrestling? It's you turned up. That's how The Rock knows how to act. He doesn't know how to become another person to play the role, right? Like, Christian Bale is not really, Bruce Wayne in real life. He just found a way to, bring that out of himself. The Rock doesn't do that.
It's funny. I saw this at an Alamo Drafthouse, and they usually have curated pre-shows to all their movies. And one of the curated things they did for this movie was a supercut of all the times The Rock is singing in something. And a lot of it was wrestling. When he would come out with the guitar and just do like a promo on something. And I'm like, man, there's so much fucking charisma there. He's so likable. This is why he's a superstar. And none of that is in this movie. Don't get me wrong. I do not want to see Black Adam singing with a guitar. Not what I want. But my issue is like that, what he learned from where he learned acting, quote unquote. None of those skills are transferable to this movie.
Exactly. That's what I was angling towards. Yes. I really feel like if you could have gotten someone who has more chops, or it could have still worked with The Rock if it was not a Black Adam movie. If it was a JSA movie, I think that's fine. The focus can't be on Black Adam. It just doesn't make sense. And The Rock is not the actor who can make that. Like, here's the example I was using in my mind the other day. In Terminator 2, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's playing the Terminator, a robot, a machine. And you have a kid that he has to act alongside. The movie is focused on their relationship, but it's not a comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a buddy comedy movie. So the Terminator character is never diminished for the sake of a joke. It actually makes sense. It works. Playing off the fact that he's a robot. so he doesn't understand things. In this movie, they try to have a similar thing with Black Adam and this kid. And it's disastrous because in this world, Black Adam's not a robot. He's an actual human being. And he needs to get over a certain way. He needs to get over as a monster. He needs to get over as this perfectly powerful being who's unstoppable. And that's what they want us to believe. But he's cracking jokes with this kid when he's 5,000 years old. How does he even get the humor of now?
He learned sarcasm within 30 seconds.
He learned English within 1 minute.
Without a Kondakian accent, I would add.
Without any accent. He just sounds like The Rock.
God forbid The Rock mask his voice in any way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's disappointing because I do think if you look at what they set up here, there's a lot of interesting stuff, but it just doesn't go anywhere.
One of the other issues I have with the script too is its locations. It's a lot of back and forth. We go to this apartment, we go to the King's Throne, we go back to the apartment, we go to the King's Throne again. There's like, it's bookended by like two big set pieces, you know, the oil rig or whatever, the Elementium rig, and then the main, I guess, tomb or whatever where he comes up from. But that middle section between those two, it's just back and forth constantly. And then maybe we go to like the marketplace for a couple of scenes, but like there's 3 locations in all of Kahndaq.
I felt like I was watching a season of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where the budget is only big enough for the shop, the school, and whatever random place they're fighting in, and that's it. Yep. It felt like this movie took place on one.
Yeah.
Like everything was in walking distance. Black Adam could fly, but the mom and the kid, somehow they're everywhere he's at, but they have to get there however they get there.
The mom, who is a wanted criminal, by the way, who has her image everywhere. She comes back from running errands. Did you see that? She has an apartment she lives in. Yeah. Like it's a place. Like they live there normally. They could just find her. Yeah, because it's well lived in. The kid has a whole bedroom with that he has all his comic book memorabilia, looking like me, you know.
Yeah, that's where they live at. And then the dude, the security guy who stops the truck that they're all in, sees her son and that's her son, and then sees her later and has no idea that it's her, even though it's on his thing. It's on his device that's showing her face. It was just mind-blowing. Let's talk about the villain, because I feel like we haven't gotten to that.
The script?
So the movie sets up very early on like 50 concepts. One of them is
too much.
This Eternium. Is it
Eternium or Elementium? I couldn't.
Eternium.
Okay.
Is it Eternium?
Because it's made from the Rock of Eternity.
Yes.
Okay. Elementium is from World of Warcraft. But
is it?
Yeah, right? Isn't it? Anyways, the Eternium helmet that they need to put together, that these dudes the slaves have to mine for, and thank you, yes. Yep. And if you put it together, then you can become the champion of the devils of hell, whose the first letter of their first name spells out Sabak. All these different concepts that don't even really play into the movie until the very end. A family member of Adriana and her son, you know, he turns on them and he wants to be the champion of Sabak and all this good stuff. That was all bad, I thought. Like, Intergang was useless. There's no primary character who represents Intergang outside of this dude who's a triple agent because he's really trying to become the champion of Sabak. How he knew about all that, like even the way all these characters know what they know is just like, how do you know? This was 5,000 years ago. What are you talking? But
the game of telephone would severely diminish that story.
And it was all very accessible.
Yeah,
you like
also like the whole premise of like, oh, this crown has been lost in this. Nobody's been able to find it for 5,000 years, And our hero, the woman, she's like, you know what? Let's take it out of there where it's been hidden.
Let's just go get it. Let's just go find it. Like it's there.
Let me hide it somewhere else that I obviously know where it'll be better hidden instead of this place where it's been hidden for 5,000 years. Like,
which 10 minutes outside town.
How come she knew about it, but Intergang didn't?
Well, Intergang is inept apparently, so I don't know how they took
suck.
over Kahndaq. Yeah.
They're good enough to take over an entire country, but they suck at finding this helmet that they really need to get. But she knows where it is, but she never got it before now. Okay. There's a lot of like weird stuff in the movie like that. But putting that aside, once we get to, the ultimate climax, and I think his name is Ishmael, yeah.
Yep.
Once he acquires this helmet and he becomes the champion of Sabak, I felt like the movie went from being like interesting but frustrating to just kind of bad.
It leaned in at that point. It leaned into the beam from heaven trope. And it was like, we're gonna start our Armageddon now. What does that mean? Like,
he sits in a chair. He sits on a throne, right? That somehow still there 5,000 years later, right? Which
only
is
thing left there,
a block away from where everybody else lives. And isn't it like under construction otherwise?
I think the idea is that it's similar to like the Roman Colosseum, where they're always kind of chipping away,
like
and
Parthenon,
like it's like an archaeological site or whatever.
Got you. Right across the street from like the marketplace.
Yeah,
so
like a KFC right nearby.
To be fair, that's how the stuff in Rome is too. Like that part is true.
Okay,
like
all right.
The pyramids are within view of like
a Hard Rock Cafe,
Cairo or whatever. Yeah, like
you can
that.
Sit outside a Hard Rock
is
Cafe
real.
Pyramids. Yeah,
fair enough. But he sits there, and this made me so mad. In order for him to start hell on earth, he has to sit on the throne physically. Why? He's the champion of Sabak. He has all the power in the world. Why does he have to sit on an arbitrary throne that's not powered in any way at all? Never is it referenced as having specific power.
Yeah.
But in order to start Armageddon, which, by the way, all Armageddon was zombies that appeared from nowhere at all. That can be beaten by children.
Yep.
Random chubby dudes.
Yeah.
And anonymous members of the Kahndaq community.
With traffic cones.
They killed no one. With traffic cones and skateboards.
Yeah.
Pipes.
They killed nobody.
Sean, you'll relate to this. It felt like when you're doing a Warcraft quest line, and like you do a big quest, you're like, oh, that was the end of it. I did it. And there's like another quest after it, and you're like, oh, fucking hell. What the hell? I thought I was done with this one. I thought I can go to the next zone. Like, that's what it felt like. It's like, I didn't even know about any of this. Why am I doing more at this point?
It's like when you're playing World of Warcraft and you're in like the plague lands and there's all these zombies and the townspeople are helping you fight them with sticks and you win.
A pickaxe or a pitchfork.
Yeah. It's nuts. That was crazy to me. Unbelievable. And then again, the actual fight with that villain to me was god awful. I think the JSA were done a disservice because they already lost to Black Adam. I can accept that. They're telling me that he's one of the most powerful people on Earth. All right, sure. But then in the climax, where they put Black Adam away because he was too much, 20 or less minutes later, they have to go get him back because Hawkman's getting shit on by Sabak. And Dr. Fate died.
I will say there are two things I liked about it. I thought Sabak looked kind of cool.
Ooh.
No.
I thought he was like, I was like, oh, this is like Jafar when he becomes a genie.
That was cool there, yeah.
He was weirdly sexy.
Maybe that's what it was.
You know, in the way that the guy before wasn't.
Like I had also had
like the demon looked sculpted.
Yeah. Well, speaking of sculpt, I had Sabak spoiled for me by one Todd McFarlane, who released images of this action figure months ago. So I knew this was coming. And the other thing I thought was cool that Dr. Fate uses his finisher from Injustice in this movie multiple times.
I didn't
where,
catch
where
that.
he drops the Ankh.
Oh,
onto
sure,
him.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's his Injustice finisher. So I was like, oh, you know what? Okay. You were like, oh, it's like a Mortal Kombat fight. I'm like, it quite literally is. Yeah.
And then Black Adam comes back, and it's just more of what we've already seen. He beats the villain the same way he beat up all the Intergang schlubs. Just throws him around, takes his head off, and that's about that.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, let me ask you guys this question.
Mhm.
Do you think that other than English and sarcasm, Black Adam learned anything?
No, because even at the end, he's like, this place doesn't need a hero. It needs a protector. Those are synonyms. You didn't learn shit. Like, what?
I wish they would have established the difference. And I think they could have. I think that there was a
Yeah.
reasonable chance to establish why Black Adam is not a hero anywhere else. Because it's like that in the books.
Yeah.
He's not a hero anywhere else. But in Kondak, he is. And
Yep.
why? What is the difference? What does a place, an occupied nation, a non-free state need that's different than what America needs? Or different than what the West in general needs. The West needs Superman. That's what you tell me. Why does Kondak need Black Adam instead? And why does Superman's brand of justice not work here the same way? I think the movie did a poor job of establishing that. Because if Superman was there, all of that gets sewn up in 2 seconds. Kondak's a free state. Sabak is gone. And that's that.
That's also, I feel like, a classic talking point against Superman. It's like, if he exists, then it's the old. It goes as far as like, if God exists, why is there suffering? You know, like Superman's one of those like all powerful types where it's like, of course, things wouldn't be the way they were if Superman were there.
But that's my point.
Yeah. Well, they
It's that
don't.
you can-
But what's the difference between Superman and Black Adam in this equation? Like,
You can what I was driving towards is that you can address that in the text.
yeah.
Why hasn't Superman come? That kid who has all those posters shouldn't have them because in real life he'd be saying, "Why am I fighting for my life? Why is my mother on the run? Why do we scrap for food when Superman exists and I see him flying around on the television? I know who he is. I've read the comic books. Why doesn't he help us?" That's the difference. That's what sells me on why Black Adam is necessary when Superman is already alive. And that's what they messed up on with him. And then they messed up on it again by presenting the Justice Society and not addressing why they don't come here.
Yep. I also don't like. I don't know why he sticks around.
Adam?
Kondak. Yeah. Like, I mean, other than, this place needs a hero. Like, what has changed for him? Like you were saying, like, what did he learn?
Yeah.
He didn't fall in love. He didn't bond with the kid.
And it's not like he even explicitly states like, "Oh, if I leave, there's just gonna be another power vacuum." Like, they don't justify it in any way like that. Like, it's an easy justification, but they don't tell you.
In my opinion, I don't even see a world where Black Adam submits to saying Shazam and letting them take him. I don't see why he would.
Yeah.
What does he care? He's all powerful. There's no evidence that the Black Adam we knew before would have made that decision. He took the power from his kid, and then he didn't even think to give it back when his kid was dying. So this dude is not like the greatest man on earth. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't have the instruction manual, Sean. He didn't know the reboot word.
He sure knew how to beat ass as soon as he got those powers.
Can we talk about slow motion real quick?
This felt like a Zack Snyder movie in some ways.
I am tired of slow motion. It is such a crutch with the DC movies, in particular. Honestly. Like, sure, it makes sense for The Flash. I get it. This is how you show super speed. Even though I'd argue Eternal showed super speed the best I've seen super speed shown.
Yeah.
But, like, it is just boring. Especially, the 12th scene in a row that we get of slow motion? Like,
I don't disagree. I think DC has to figure out. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say DC has to figure out what their movies are gonna look like and what
They got a lot to figure out.
But yeah, they have a lot to figure out.
But I also wonder how much of this slow motion could have been like eating into time that they had to fill because the content wasn't there, you know?
Maybe. I guess this would be a great time to talk about the visual presentation. I've said a few times already. I think it looked phenomenal. Um, I I love the the way that the DC films tend to be presented. At least the ones with like all powerful characters. They feel larger than life, and I really really appreciated that here. Like they don't feel small. They look there's a lot of close-ups. They really get into how big and imposing these characters are supposed to be. Like they there's a stark contrast in my eyes between like how characters in Marvel movies tend to look and how they tend to look in DC films. And I think that makes sense because in the comics, DC characters tend to look the same way. They're titans, you know. Like I always think of the Alex Ross, painting of them and how they look like gods. That's how DC characters should look, and I feel like they've really nailed that with a lot of their core in universe movies where they do have that look. I think that's probably one of the only things that um, Zack Snyder did that worked for the masses.
I think color is an issue with Zack Snyder stuff that I think this movie resolved. I think like letting the JSA look kind of cheesy, like in a good way. Like Atom Smasher had the primary colors all over. Hawkman had his own logo on everything, which I thought was great. Cyclone, not the most iconic costume, but the right themes were there in her costume. And Doctor Fate is Doctor Fate. You know,
Her costume in the comics suffers from that same thing.
yeah, and I think this had the right, the pinstripes. Not pinstripes. Is it pinstripes? No, it's a different kind of stripes. It had stripes, like the Pippi Longstocking type things. Yes, actually.
Maybe.
I think candy stripes.
Yeah, I don't think Atom Smasher looked different from Spider-Man. You know, like,
Sure.
and I don't mean that like any derogatory way. Like, I think if you put those costumes side by side, like I think they would look similar. You know, like there would be a consistency between them that would make you go, "Oh yeah, that's a cool modern superhero costume."
Mm-hmm. Isn't it wild that you're talking about a cool modern superhero costume in a movie and it's Atom Smasher? The idea of that is wild to me.
I found myself frustrated by the fact that like everything looked so cool, but then it was undercut by like a goofy line that didn't really like. I don't think that the Marvel method of filmmaking or scripting works in DC. I just don't. I don't think that the DC characters lend themselves as well to that style of humor. Not all of them, certainly. I think you can do that with quite a few of them, but I think a lot of them require more seriousness, not like darkness, not edginess per se. Just like I don't picture
Stoicism.
I don't picture Black Adam ever making not even one joke, and like it could happen. Like for example, here's a great example in Blackest Night, or rather, Forever Evil.
Yeah,
Black Adam gets his mouth crushed by Ultraman. So whenever he talks, his words aren't really coming out because he's struggling because his jaw's messed up. That's played for humor. It's not Black Adam trying to be funny.
Exactly.
It's something that happened to him that now makes him funny in that circumstance. And I think you can get away with that, especially when you're playing with a character who's already established. It's only funny because we know Black Adam to be the opposite. But in this film, our first introduction to him, he's quipping. Why? It doesn't work.
It's the same answer for a lot of the questions of this movie. The why is because Rock. Like that's why.
Because Rock, because Marvel. I think DC has actually suffered from this problem prior to this movie. Um,
Yeah.
the Justice League that they chose to release in theaters was a nonstop quick fest. Who was that directed by? The same guy who established it in Marvel, pretty much. So, yeah. But from a visual standpoint, I think this movie looked gorgeous. I don't feel equipped enough to comment too much on the direction. But I didn't find myself really questioning anything that I can remember from that standpoint. I didn't. It didn't stand out like, I would notice. I would have things to say about the Russos, or certain, even Whedon. But here I didn't have anything good to say. I don't have anything bad to say. It looked good.
I think that's a fair criticism, though. I think that the criticism of the direction is that it exists. It doesn't do anything to ruffle feathers or buck any trends, for good or bad. It doesn't do anything that's like, oh God, what kind of choice was that?
Yeah.
But it also doesn't do anything cool, really.
It's a bit like, like I said, 2004. It's something to get,
Sure. Yep.
a film out. It feels like, Fantastic Four, the first one.
Yeah.
The direction, I mean.
Yeah. Totally.
It's just something, there's a guy behind the camera for sure. Yep. What's he doing? I don't know, but
he's making sure the shots exist rather than exist in a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird too, because I guess the most two recent DC movies, the Suicide Squad and the Batman, they were kind of auteurish movies, Like Suicide Squad was very James Gunn. The Batman, very Matt Reeves. This is very much a movie, like.
And when you look at Khaled Sarah's directorial, credits, it's not like, he directed Jungle Cruise, which Tyler's a big fan of.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, rock with the nepotism again. There we go.
Yeah, loves it. But then he directed like Goal 2, Living the Dream.
Favorite movie.
House of Wax, Orphan.
Wait, which House of Wax?
Orphan?
Yeah. House of Wax from 2005. I don't know.
Oh, the Paris Hilton one. Yeah.
So it's not like, we're not talking about a director with a pedigree of like high, quality work in the past and stuff like that. I think they chose someone who could kind of just bring the movie to life, like give us the vision we have.
Maybe after Zack Snyder is the right move. Like, there's one thing I can say for Zack Snyder is it is a vision. It is a director's vision, and it is directed with a director's eye. For better or for worse, your mileage may vary. This is like almost a purposeful, like, putting that aside. It's like, oh, we don't want that. We don't want them to ask for a director's cut of this one. Like, let's just get somebody who's just going to do the movie.
There are some cameos and little nods and things like that. Of course, they couldn't prevent themselves from, referencing Superman several times throughout the movie. There's a couple of moments where, like, one where Black Adam punches through a wall or something like that has a Superman poster on it.
Yeah.
And then I think one gets burned out later, a Superman poster or cover or something like that.
Jim Lee drawn one from Rebirth, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds right. We see like a Wonder Woman comic book fall out of Emon's bag. There's a lot of comics and stuff like that, and toys.
Cyborg, yeah.
There's a Shazam toy in the movie also.
Saw that, yeah.
No Shazam whatsoever, by the way. It's almost like they went out of their way not to reference the fact that Shazam exists.
And it's weird because Digimon Hansu shows up as the wizard in this. It was like going to be a major character in the sequel for Shazam. So
right.
Has there been how much of this was made recently? Is something I've been wondering.
I mean, according to you, it was made in 2005. So,
well, like, I just, I wonder if, like, there were parts of this film that were put together when they didn't know if they were going to be able to do Shazam,
Do Shazam at all or Shazam 2?
Well, if this movie
Shazam
has
at all.
been, yeah, if this movie's been in gestation for 15 years, 15 years ago, I'm not even sure 15 years. No, they definitely did have the rights.
No. It's only been conceptualized for 15 years. Like
Sure.
The Rock's been attached to it for 15 years. The actual making
Filming
of
and
it is
everything.
very much more recent than that. But I'll give you an exact if you want that in a moment.
No, that's fine. I just I was wondering about that concept because this has been such a long going thing, and it feels the way the scenes lay out. Not that anyone is more dated than the other, but like we were saying, there are bits and tropes that feel older than what exists now. So potentially they were written earlier, or that stuff was pieced together for this.
So
I-
Shazam, The Rock's always been attached to Black Adam for the last 15 years, but he was supposed to be in Shazam. We've actually talked about this on the show where he was supposed to be in Shazam, but he came to the conclusion that trying to do both characters' origins in the same movie didn't work. And so he wanted to do a separate origin movie for Black Adam and let Shazam have his space as well.
Which is funny because in Shazam they do Black Adam's origin anyway.
Yep.
What do you mean? I'm
They tell the story of like, oh, we gave these powers to another person who didn't deal with them correctly, and we just that's all we get of Black Adam.
right.
If you summate Black Adam's origin, that's what it is. It is not a complex origin. So I don't. That just seems like the lie The Rock told because he's like, well, I kind of want top billing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at it. I don't choose to look at it from a negative standpoint. I can see why he would think that, like reasonably. I just don't think we're talking about someone who reads comics. Like I don't think he gets that Black Adam is actually like a not a bit player. He's the greatest antagonist of Shazam, but you're the antagonist of Shazam. Like that's not you're not Magneto.
How did The Rock find out about Black Adam? That's what I'm curious about. Like, I don't think this guy was a Fawcett Comics fan. You know what I mean? Like,
he probably was. If 15 years, you're going back to 2007, 2006, he probably was shopping for a superhero movie and had his production company trying to figure out characters were available that could fit his, identity and stuff like that, and landed on Black Adam, who is an interesting character in a vacuum.
Or even at a certain point could have landed on Shazam and worked his way sort of,
towards
parallel to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So no Shazam in this movie. It's weird. I feel like it feels like a Sony movie where like they can't say this is a Spider-Man villain. They can't reference Spider-Man, but it felt like that to me. Amanda Waller's in it. I think her cameo is both of her appearances are effective. She's kind of like the Nick Fury of this world.
Yeah. They're also like over Zoom. Like she phoned it in on those. Quite literally, it looked like.
I'm still into Amanda Waller in this. In this, we also got what's her name? Shoot,
Agent Chase.
Sorry,
you talking about Agent Chase from Peacemaker?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, is she in the prison or whatever?
Yeah, the woman in the blonde woman in the prison. I'm blanking on her name.
Agent Chase. It's
Agent Chase. Yeah. Thank you. I actually think that woman, the actress who plays that character, is talented, and she's my favorite part of Peacemaker, and I enjoyed her in the Suicide Squad. But I thought, man, really bad here. The line delivery, the lines were bad, but the line delivery was really bad.
It almost felt like that was an Amanda Waller scene that they couldn't get Viola Davis for. So instead, they were like, "Hey, James Gunn, can we use Chase in this?" And like she's married to James Gunn, the actress.
Yeah.
So like they're like, "All right, she's probably available. We can use her. Let's do that." Because even continuity wise, it doesn't really make sense that she's working with Amanda Waller in that in that capacity at this
We-
point.
We need an editor's note. This takes place before
Yeah, exactly.
Peacemaker.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I mean there's the biggest cameo of all at the very, very end of the movie. Viola Davis appears via Zoom to threaten Black Adam with heroes that are more powerful than him or heroes who can match his power. And she says, I'll go as far as getting people who aren't from Earth. And immediately after that, we see Superman and he has a chat with Black Adam. Henry Cavill's Superman. So we got the big return. We talked at length about the inner workings of DC on the main show this week, which you can definitely go check out. And we weren't able to say there, due to spoilers, that Henry Cavill's in this film. I think that was a bad idea. I think that was a very, very bad idea. I love Henry Cavill. I'm hyped that he's back, but I don't think this was the.
It's short-sighted. It is I mean, The Rock was a wrestler, so I'll use a wrestling term. It's a cheap pop. Is what it is.
And I want to explain it. And I want to know what you guys think too. I feel like so I could be wrong. I interpreted that scene as either being the same day or within a very short window of time to all the other events that we saw.
Same.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, my very first thought, before I was like, wow, that's Henry Cavill, my very first thought was, where was this dude an hour ago? And, you know, I never like want to be that dude. Like Tyler brought it up, like, oh, why wasn't Superman here? You know, like that's not, I get it. I get that destroys anything you're talking about when you just say that. But in the context of this movie where he's in it, where was he? Why would you send 4 people from the JSA, 2 of whom are newbies, to stop someone who's more powerful than almost anyone you've ever seen when you could just text Superman and say, hey, we need you now?
He was at the barbershop getting his mustache trimmed. He's running late.
Yes, Tyler. Yes. That really bothered me. I couldn't look past it.
Continuity thing, yeah.
The way I wanted to feel, I couldn't look past the fact that it doesn't make sense.
And also, like, what is it leading to? Like,
what's the payoff? Yeah.
Do I want to see Superman and Black Adam fight? Not really. I just saw him fight Sabak, who essentially was the same thing, just red. There's no emotional investment.
And at some point, we're probably going to get Shazam and Black Adam in a fight. I presume.
Probably, I would say, I would hope, you know.
So, like eventually, that's got to be the end game on some level.
The funny thing to me is that the Superman Black Adam fight, within the context of things we saw in this movie, seems easier to get to than the Shazam one now because of the way that they've played it. What reason would Billy Batson ever have to be in Kahndaq and fight Black Adam? That doesn't make any sense. And what reason would Black Adam have to go after Billy Batson and try to take his power, prove that he's the best person who says Shazam? Like, what is the through line there? I feel like all of this is a mess now because of the way they've chosen to go about it. But it is good to see Henry Cavill back, and I am looking forward to his return as Superman somewhere other than this.
But the other thing is too, like, why is he working with Waller? That
was nonsense.
Yeah, the whole thing was Waller was coming up for ways to kill him. You know, like.
By the way, she's also doing the same thing with Superman. She's also looking for ways to kill him.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like why Superman working
right
with Waller? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like she's looking. She has Superman to kill Black Adam, and then who knows what to kill Superman. Like that's just I don't know. That's where the overarching person to look at it all and try to put it all together comes into play. Mm-hmm. That's where you need that, because one individual filmmaker or whoever could have an idea, but it's like, wow, that doesn't make any sense with what we've been doing or where we wanted to go. So
script editing.
There needs to be a DCEU style.
Kevin Feige.
My cat just turned on my Roomba. I don't know. That just scared the hell out of me. I gotta turn it off. It's gonna be loud. What the hell, dude? No, there needs to be like some kind of like. I'm just saying a joke too. It's ruined. There needs to be some kind of Pepe Sylvia. It's Always Sunny, board, like a whiteboard. They don't even need a Kevin Feige. They just need like a whiteboard, where like anyone could kind of figure out where the big continuity errors would be.
Well, there will be a sequel. Almost guaranteed. I think The Rock as pretty much the biggest actor in Hollywood, action star at least, is a no-brainer to produce a sequel for his, starring vehicle. Hiram Garcia, who is one of the producers on the film and an executive behind the scenes at $7 Production, which is the Rock's production company, has said that they intend to produce a sequel as soon as possible and that they want to build towards an eventual Superman and Black Adam fight.
Damn, The Rock said, "Fuck Shazam. I'm the new Shazam."
The hierarchy did change.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
This is like, I just meant like he usurped Shazam.
I did it.
No, money-wise, it has so far, yeah.
To me, this is like what people complain about Marvel being like, where it's like, oh, you're just building up to the next punching scene. It's like, well,
Yep.
Marvel built up to 10 plus years of, stories that enthralled audiences, and
At least plot. Yeah.
DC's, there's story to it, and DC's big idea is, oh shoot, let's get these two dudes to fight.
Yep.
That's not riveting.
How dare
Neither was
you
this movie.
do a hit job on this fine cinema, Sean.
Yeah. I really wish I could have come here and had more positive things to say. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I think it's a very middle of the road film that had a lot of potential to be a lot better than it was, but it undercuts itself by going for the joke too often that almost never lands. I felt like a lot of the humor in this movie was god awful. Like that cousin or whatever, who's all like the one who was singing in the mystery machine. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I saw that too. Yeah.
The dude who was singing Britney Spears or whatever.
Yeah.
There was
Not
one
funny.
joke where he's like, "Oh, I'm not afraid to die because it's not electricity." And I was like, okay, that one was all right. You might have got me there. But then it's also he has really horrible CGI zombies behind him, so I'm kind of of two minds about it. I do have a question for you guys though before we finish this real quick. Do you think we get a JSA movie now? Do you think this is a vehicle to launch something out of that?
Not at all.
Nope.
Not even close.
Anytime soon.
Okay.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, like it could, obviously there could be a JSA movie. There almost assuredly will be at some point. I don't think this is the springboard to that in a 3 to 5 year type of thing.
Yep. I think, better minds than the ones in The Rock's production company have put that together. I'm sure Jeff Johns has put that together.
Please. Oh my God.
Of course he has. It's in Stargirl. Like,
yeah.
Like, no way. We'll get some of these characters in Justice League before we see them in Justice Society.
Fair.
I'll tell you what though, this movie made me want to see Hawkman and Hawkgirl very badly. I was like, wait, where's Hawkgirl at? I didn't know for a fact that she wasn't in the movie just because I just didn't. I know they hadn't shown her, but that doesn't mean she can't be in it. So I thought, oh, maybe she'll be here, and she wasn't. That was weird, but it leaves space for more. So hopefully we do get more of what we liked out of this movie and less of what we didn't. There's room for growth. We're going to get a sequel anyway, so of course I hope it's better. I give this movie, I would say I give it a 6. Maybe I'm feeling generous today, but
3 out of 10.
Yeah, I guess a 5. Yeah, that would be a 2.5 on a 5 scale. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah. It's not, to me, it's better than some of the other Marvel stuff we've seen of late. I think it's better than Eternals. I think it's better than Thor: Love and Thunder. I probably had more fun with Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is a way more competently made movie.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I hoping for better.
Yeah, I think my enjoyment out of this came from just some of the characters and how they were acted, rather than the quality of the movie.
Yeah.
If your film is enjoyed on the potential of it being another film, it's not great.
That's
Yeah,
rough.
That's fair. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know your thoughts about the film. Where'd you come away from it? How do you rate it? Are you one of those people who feels it's in the 80s? Or are you like Kale and feel like it's a borderline dumpster fire? Share your thoughts with us anywhere that you can leave us a comment. We read them on the show, on our main show, which is live every single Saturday on twitch.tv/thecomicspals at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. It posts Mondays. So if you're listening to this now and you want to hear more of our thoughts about DC and stuff like that, you can go check out our main show. It's dropped this week, where the main topic is DC's power struggle. And a lot of the stuff we talked about in this review plays into the stuff we talked about on the main show. So go ahead and give that a listen. YouTube.com/thecomicspal. Subscribe for free, like the video, share it with your friends. All that's free to do, and it helps out a lot more than it costs you. Follow us on all social media platforms at The Comics Pals, including Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff that you guys like to do. We're there, serving you that good old content. Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, we're The Comics Pals signing off. Take care, guys.
See you next film.